Hey guys, welcome to another Iron Mike GT Sports FIA stream. Today we're at Tokyo Inner Loop South. This is a Group 3 race, 15 laps. Medium and soft tyres are available, but it's a medium tyre that's required. I've done a number of lobby races throughout the week and was really unsure about whether or not to go medium soft or soft medium or just a no stopper with medium, and all three options were pretty close to each other. It's very difficult. Obviously pitting takes about an extra 24, 25, 26 seconds, but you do get those fresher tyres, so really hard to work out what to go with. Now I am in a lower lobby, so 5 race options, so I thought, this is race 1, I'll just go from the back, a no stopper, and see how it goes on mediums. I did expect, I've had it before on this track, I did expect turn 2 to be quite messy. So I'm at the back in 20th place. We'll see how I go. Obviously there's a few people that have made a few mistakes already on the grid start. Just having to dive around those who can't get it right. So from 20th into 18th. So my goal in this race is A, don't pit, save myself 26 seconds. B, with that then I've got to look after my tyres as best I can. So trying to look after them on each corner, not burning it out in the first few laps, and also trying to avoid penalties. I expect a lot of penalties. In lobbies you can just wear them out throughout the race, but here you've got a penalty point, you have to pay your penalty. It is chaos on turn 2 here, and you can see I was worried there I was going to get a penalty for hitting another car, but luckily no penalty for me. Now I've just passed cwharcourt, so he's behind me, and he started in 14th place, so even he's gained a few spots. He's probably back in 9th at the moment. The other reason why I wanted to start at the back was the RCZ isn't really, for me, it's not that fast in a straight line. I feel like I'm just going a bit slow up in this part, and I didn't want to be in the middle of it all just getting bashed around. So I thought I'll start at the back, just keep out of that initial bit of trouble, which has paid off. This guy was a bit rough getting past me. I thought that was a bit rough, bit of a push, but I did think, he's obviously a bit faster, and I can see why he wants to get in front. He's got a 1.5 second penalty. But at this point, it kind of sort of messes it all up. And I'm thinking, well, if you're going to push in front of me, move. And then it just gets a bit ugly there. I was expecting a lot of cars to start catching me. That slowed me down quite a bit. So, lap 1, I'm in 5th place from 20th. So I've made up 15 places in 1 lap. That was just mad. So now it's just really a case of, again, looking after my tyres and also just trying to hang on to this position as best I can. So I've got some Japanese guy up behind me here. He gives me a bit of a tap. Each time I might get a tap, I think cwharcourt, he bump drafts me in a few laps time. And I was always careful about just braking it a little bit earlier with that extra pace. So the Peugeot RCZ is pretty good on its tyres and pretty good at handling those corners. But the acceleration on that grid start, the acceleration is just horrible. And obviously then accelerating out of corners is horrible, and its top end speed isn't the best. So ultimately, really, I shouldn't have been in this race in the first place. This is probably one of those races I should have just stayed out of, but I can't help myself. Especially being in a lower lobby, I was hoping I'll be able to make hay while the sun shines, I guess. So I've got cwharcourt right behind me now. Now I met him a few weeks ago, just in a lobby. I hopped in a lobby and there he was with his mates and just having fun. So he's a really nice guy and a good driver. It's just interesting how you meet certain people in different circumstances. And I think this might be one of the first races we've actually raced in together. But he's in the Mercedes AMG, which is faster. So you should see him begin to catch up, and then he begins to bump draft me. I put my, at certain points I put my indicator on, which I'm doing now, my right hand indicator, to say just go past. But he looks like he was deciding to stick behind me and just help me out, which was nice. But it got to a certain point where I thought, I'm slowing you down, with you just trying to help me. Just go past, go. Because other people are going to catch up. And like I said before, I've done a few lobbies throughout the week, mainly against European, French and Italian, Spanish drivers. And yeah, that's pretty much where I worked out a no-stopper is the best way to go. But trying to keep the tyres in check was pretty hard. So what is this? Getting ready to finish off lap 3. I'm still in 5th place, so he's right in my mirror. So I know I felt like I was actually holding him up. So around here I put on my left indicator and I'm sort of really beating him, just don't bump draft me, just go. And I'll, hopefully, there he goes, hopefully I'll grab his slipstream and we'll just race off. It's also good to see the gap behind, which is what, 3.8, 3.7 second gap, which was pretty healthy. I was reasonably happy with that. And tyres as well, I was also hoping a lot of people would be on softs, of course, and needing to pit. So I knew that I needed to keep within a certain time. And so far, I know it's early, but 4 laps in, I'm only 7 seconds behind the leader. So I thought if I can maintain that, that's you know, pretty close. If they pit, they're going to lose a lot of time. So penalties up ahead, and trying like anything to hang in that slipstream, which I was slowly losing. See, I'm already out of it, 1 second. And then just making sure, of course, I get this brake point right. Occasionally in lobbies, I'd be maybe watching my mirror or something else, and I'd just miss that brake point. Instead of braking at 150 meters, I'd be heading near 100, just getting it wrong. And you know, again, doing a number of lobbies, occasionally you'd hit the nail on the head and get it right, and other times get it absolutely wrong, just being out of time, hitting walls, getting penalties. But I felt like this one here, I'd nailed it. There's very little wall scraping. So up ahead, I think there's about 3 cars ahead, which so there's just a little touch there. That's good for me. 1 guy's got a penalty and 3 cars close. it's going to slow them down a bit. So I kind of felt comfortable with my pace, that I've got this free bit of road where I can actually brake at my normal braking point, or just slightly later, like here, and then just catch up a bit. Try not to cut any corners there. That was my biggest weakness in practicing here, just cutting those corners a little bit and getting a penalty. Now this guy, what's his name, Rod Piglord. I've come across this guy before and he's just a little bit dirty, and I think it's next lap. Just wasn't happy with him at all. So I'm getting closer now, and I was getting concerned in case I brake a bit too late. So just brake a touch earlier, make sure I don't slide into anyone. Getting pretty close now, but my acceleration isn't the best out of here. So anytime I was side by side with someone in practice, they just accelerate away. But I'm in the slipstream, which is good. And I think around here I was thinking, even though I can feel myself catching this guy, I didn't want to pass him. Just wanted to grab some slipstream. I mean, they've still got reasonable pace. You see them just pulling away now. So to try and go for an overtake was not really the smartest move at the time, I guess, and almost proves to be right, because then he'd be trying to pass me again, just slowing us down. And I was, from starting to end, I was happy with being in 6th place as well at the moment. It was also about looking at the guy behind me. The Japanese guy is 6.7, so that gap is growing. So it was about being patient and just being grateful for where I am at the time. Keeping in mind that these guys might be on softs and will need to pit. So I've caught up quite a bit now. But so let's see. cwharcourt has got away. He's in 3rd place now. So you see here Rod Piglord squeezing that Japanese guy out. Has caused him to crash a bit and crash into me. And I just wasn't happy with it at all. Again, I was worried that people were going to be catching me up, which I think the Japanese guy behind me does begin to catch me. So that's the last we'll see of Rod Piglord after he's pitting on his softs. So there's me being promoted to 5th. And we're getting in that window now of people pitting. So lap 6 for me is a touch early. I'd expect maybe lap 7 or 8 people to be pitting. So really now I'm looking at the top 4 guys and just wondering what their plan of attack is. So what's that, 11 seconds behind the leader. And again, just trying to grab some slipstream off this Japanese guy. It's never too sure. Occasionally I'm in 2nd gear around this part. Sometimes I'm in 3rd. I guess it depends on my entry. If I'm coming in hot, I have to come down into 2nd gear to slow down. Or if it's just a little bit subtler and smooth, I'm in 3rd. So I'm in this guy's slipstream now. And the gap behind me against the Japanese guy that's growing again. So that's good. I'm getting away from him. And my tyres, so I'm I remember around this point I was looking at my tyres. I'm sort of still on lap 7, so he's now pitting, so it puts me to and the other Japanese guy, they're on soft, so they'll be going on to mediums. Promotes me to 3rd. But yeah, so I was around here, I started looking at my tyres, and I must admit, I thought actually they're not looking too bad. I do have traction control 1 on, mainly for the grid start, but also it's a very subtle amount of traction control just to try and look after those tyres. And my brake balance, I think I moved it to 0. During the week I was practicing it with +3 to the back, but it didn't seem to make any difference. I was racing with Big Bruce the Shark, and he was saying he was on brake balance 0. I moved it up to +1, and I don't know, it seemed to improve my time, I guess. Not too sure about the tyre wear, but eventually I moved it to 0. Just seems a bit slow and laboured around here. So it's still got a healthy, I think that's 6-second gap behind me. So 7.5 laps would be halfway, so I'm about halfway through the race now. And even though my tyres are wearing, the lap times, the amount of time I lose with worn tyres is probably half a second to 1 second on average. So for me, pitting wasn't really a benefit, and yet so many people are pitting. So around this point again, the top 2 drivers still haven't pitted, which was making me think that maybe they were on mediums as well, doing a nose stopper. And I did find it interesting, you know, usually throughout the week, mainly with Japanese people, they usually have their strategies all worked out and pretty much spot on. But here we are with a lot of people pitting and some not. So lap 8, I've got MG Spiker behind me at 11 seconds. Well, that will tell me that everyone behind me from 4th down pretty much has pitted. So it's the top 3 guys. So I've got 7 laps to go. I've completed 8, so 7 laps to go with 11 seconds up my sleeve. And I was 11 seconds behind first place. I'm slowly catching. So I wonder whether or not I'm looking after my tyres a bit better than others. And that's the one thing I like about the RCZ. Even though the tyres are wearing, the performance is pretty much still there. Whereas other cars, they begin to wear, the tyres almost fall off the cliff. They just die overnight. So that 11-second gap behind me with MG Spiker, that's hanging in there. He's not catching up at all. So I was pretty happy with myself at this point. 7 seconds behind the leader, and he's pitting from mediums on softs. So he's only just really started his pitting, so he's going to fall back quite a bit. And the other thing I found in this race, it is quite difficult to actually overtake people. I found maybe the start-finish straight, if you get a good exit, or after turn 1, that long straight going down under the bridge towards turn 2 into the braking zone. Everywhere else is pretty difficult to pass, unless they're paying a penalty at that penalty point, which I got past a few people through there, lap 1 I guess. So that puts me in the 2nd place. cwharcourt, he's in 1st place. That's at 4.7. He's almost 5 seconds ahead. And and now I've got Sherlin, Japanese guy, and he was 10 seconds behind, and I thought, I've got 6 laps to go, can I do it? And if he does get me, it'll only be just. So I guess at this point of the race, I'm just watching my tyres, which I can see they're starting to go off, watching the gap in front of me, 4.1, so it's coming down, and then looking at the gap behind me, and really the gap behind me was my biggest concern. Had I caught up with cwharcourt, then it would be having to negotiate with him to get past, if that was to happen. I still feel like I'm a bit slow getting around that corner. So cwharcourt is in my sights now, and he doesn't know the gap behind me, and I was concerned he'd begin to get a bit nervous and panic, slow down, or if I do catch him. So we're at 3.7 seconds, so I am catching him, and I thought, obviously I'm looking after my tyres better than him, and his are really starting to go off. And I was worried that as I begin to catch him, he'd then begin to try and slow down to let me pass, but it gets a bit messy. I wanted him still to just push, but I would love to have let him know the gap behind me, which is coming down 9.7 seconds, but I could almost feel that as each lap is passing, he's not catching up enough, and I'm starting to build a bit of confidence that I reckon I can do this. Occasionally just taking these a bit easy to look after these tyres. You know, just spend a few tenths of a second getting around a corner just to look after those tyres. So cwharcourt is in my sights. Still about 3.8 seconds. But from 20th place to 2nd at the moment, just couldn't believe it. It really was. My gut feeling about this race was pretty right. You know, if you're up the front, get on softs and get away from people, because there's no room for error in this track with walls either side. Penalty points, you know, penalties for colliding with another car or a barrier. If you're in the thick of the traffic, you're going to get a load of penalties, and so far I've had none. So he's down to 8 seconds. And the performance of my tyres, my lap times are pretty consistent. So that was the other thing. I thought, well, as he's trying to catch me, his tyres will begin to wear. See, it comes down quite a bit there, 7.5, and that would concern me. I'd be thinking, oh, it's dropping quite a bit now. Move it. And then I think it's 3.4 seconds there to the leader, cwharcourt. It's just hanging in there. I think it was around here I would sort of catch him up, but there were other areas where he would get away. It's about a 3.2, and I was hoping, as much as you know, he's a racing mate, I was hoping he'd be watching that, and just the pressure starts getting to him. And the gap behind me to that Sherlin guy, so what is he, 7.5? That gap time would occasionally come down but then go back up, which made me think maybe MG Spiker was around him, so he was having to drive defensively. You know, they were slowing each other down a bit. See here, yeah, I've really caught up 2.7, and we've still got another 3 laps to go. And I must admit, at this point, I really wanted the race over. I was getting a bit concerned, see, just touching the walls there a bit. See that corner there, entering in 6th gear and coming out 4th. For me, in the RCZ, that was just perfect, you know, just a good exit, keeping clear of that wall, seeing my exit point where I could just then hit the accelerator again. Just be careful not to cut corners here. So 13 laps and no penalty as yet, which is almost unheard of, really. So like I said, I'm a DRB driver, but I'm pretty much right down the bottom. My DR is sitting about 11,700 or something, so it's pretty low. That was the other reason for starting at the back. And this was the first race of the day. By the way, I forgot to mention that. Which is what I like. I would hate to enter race 3 for the first time, because there'll be a number of people who have done the first and second race and they've learnt a lot from it, maybe changed their strategy to the point where everyone's almost driving the same. Whereas the first race of the day, as you can see, people are still trying to work out what's right or wrong, get a feel for the pace of the race. So I'm really catching up at Harcourt now. There's 2 laps to go, and I'm closing in. I'm almost in his slipstream. The guy behind me, Charlin, he's closing, but not enough. So he's down to 5.7 seconds. And I just knew it. Even to catch me at 1 second a lap, he's quite a bit, and he's 5 seconds behind. And I was thinking to myself, it was funny, I was thinking, only way he's going to catch me is if I make a mistake. And I just thought, shut up, don't say that. Because once you start thinking about a mistake, that's when mistakes happen. Braking too late, spinning it, rubbing a wall and spinning, and just losing a lot of time. So I really had to just focus now on just driving my lines, hitting my brake points, trying to remove emotion and just getting it done. And if he catches, he catches. So you can see CW Harcourt is just slowly pulling away again. So he's obviously handling that pressure well. He's in a Mercedes AMG, which was one of the favoured cars in this race. For me, it was an AMG or a Jaguar F-Type. It seemed to be quite strong in the lobbies during the week. And the RCZ didn't really favour too well, so I'm surprised I'm up here. Look at my tyres. My front left is, I'm going to say 60% worn there, but still they're performing quite well. My lap times are still reasonable. Final lap. That Japanese guy is still closing in. He's closing in even more. He's down to 3 seconds. Even here, I think it was around here I thought, once I get around this corner, it's pretty hard to overtake. It was really those two straights which are your best opportunities. So again, making sure I don't overpower it and spin the car out. Like here, a bit of a slide. He's catching 2.6 seconds behind me. Just going a bit slower here, making sure I don't overcook it. 2.4, 2.3. I was kind of expecting to see a lot of him in my mirror at the hairpin down here. .150 board, start braking, down a second, drop into first there, just to make sure I don't go out too far. I think that was the one and only time I put in the first. My tyres are pretty warm. It's almost in my slipstream. And it was now here I just thought, just again, forget him, just get these corners right. Forget cwharcourt in front, forget the guy behind. Just keep it clean. And homeward bound. Hazard lights on, flashing the headlights, and I just stuff up a little bit here. I'm doing the old wiggle and bang, hit the wall. That was a difficult race. So second place, I was pretty proud of that. From 20th, up 18 positions. What's that, 59 points. I was happy with that. That was my one and only race. Wasn't doing it again. Well, that was it from me. Hope you enjoyed the race and looking forward to seeing your streams. See you in the next one.